The Scuba Diver Magazine podcast is sponsored by Scuba Pro, who are celebrating their 60th year of being an iconic scuba brand, and Scuba Pro has a few offers that I'm going to break down later on in this podcast. Hi, all of you wonderful scuba divers out there. Welcome to the Scuba Diver Magazine podcast. The big news this week is, of course, the missing Titan submersible. I'm not going to talk about it that much on this podcast, mainly because it's an ongoing story, and I'm recording this on Thursday morning. So by the time that you get to hear this, the story's probably changed, and you're already probably sick and tired of hearing about it on the news every single day for the past week. But some other things happened this week that I'm going to talk about. Here in the United Kingdom, the King is set to endorse a ban on the shark fin import and export in the country, which is nice to see, and it's a better late than never, I suppose. There's a recall on some Oceanic BCDs that you do need to know about if you dive one of them. Obviously, it's mainly in the United States and Canada, I believe, where they were distributed, so more details later. There's a new color correction filter from Sea Life on one of their underwater camera housings. Free snorkeling trips for service members this weekend here in the UK, which is the 24th, so Sunday, and a new plan to use seaweeds to protect the Great Barrier Reef. So yeah, the first news story is that King Charles is set to give his royal assent to a new law that bans the import and export of shark fins later this year, which ends the United Kingdom's dark and kind of secret participation in the controversial billion-dollar global shark fin trade. So every year, on average, the United Kingdom exports around 20 tons of shark fins, which are typically harvested from blue sharks. They're then processed in Spain and then shipped onto the Far East for use in shark fin soup and all sorts of weird aphrodisiacs and stuff, whatever they're into. The United Kingdom shark fin imports, on the other hand, have been a lot harder to track since there's a loophole in European law, which we still sort of abide by, that permits anybody entering the United Kingdom to bring 20 kilograms of dried shark fins through customs without any question as part of their personal import allowance. I mean, 20 kilos, that's a lot. So now with King Charles's signature, this is set to end. And Graham Buckingham, the campaign director for Bite Back, the Bite Back charity, said a UK ban on the import and export of shark fins represents a world-leading victory for shark conservation, a major blow to the shark fin industry, and a new hope to countries seeking a similar ban across Europe and the rest of the globe. So hopefully other countries are going to follow suit. Since it launched its No Fin to Declare campaign in 2015, the Bite Back charity has been at the forefront of efforts to cease the movement of shark fins. In that time, it's tirelessly campaigned to encourage public and political support. It has navigated Brexit. Not all of us have navigated Brexit that well, but Bite Back managed to sort of get new opportunities. It's councilled government and endured broken political promises. Obviously, the Animal Welfare Bill in 2021, only to find an ally in a backbench Labour MP who put forward a private member's bill just 12 months ago. And of course, it takes forever to actually become legislation. But in the last year, Christina Rees, MP for Neath and Port Talbot, supported by Bite Back, successfully guided her shark fin bill unchallenged through the Houses of Parliament and onto the Baroness Jones of Whitechurch in the House of Lords, where the bill was unilaterally supported and passed on Friday the 16th of June 2023 for royal assent into law. So this is wonderful news, and yeah, good to see that there are some sensible people in politics. The next news story is following 73 reports of broken Oceanic BCD weight pocket handles, Hewish Outdoors, who sort of own and distribute Oceanic products, is recalling just under 7,500 jacket BCDs on which there is considered to be a danger of a breakage happening. Should this occur whilst diving underwater, they would be unable to dump their weights in an emergency ascent, which does pose a drowning hazard. However, no injuries have been reported so far, according to Hewish. So it's basically the grab handle of the quick release weight pouches, and there's a chance that some of them can just break off, so you don't get the handle, and then it makes it very difficult to ditch your weights, which is of course quite important, and that's the whole point of this recall. The company has sold about 7,440 of the effective BCDs, mainly in the United States and Canada. The recall devices comprise the Ocean Pro BCD, the Excursion BCD, and Hera models that bear specific serial numbers. I'm not going to list them out here because they're all like 6 to 8 digits long, so if you go down to the description, there'll be a link to the DiverNet article, and yeah, you can find out whether you're affected or not. A really easy way to find out, because it might be that you've bought replacement weight pouches, which are also a part of this recall. It's the QLR4 pocket handles, and if you look at the underside of the handles, they either do have a date code sort of stamped into the underside, or they do not. If the weight pouches that you have and you're looking at do not contain a date code on the underside, then they should be considered as needing to be recalled. The same applies with QLR weight pockets that divers might have bought separately. So yeah, have a good look through, have a look at the serial number on your BCD, which can be found on the BCD's cummerbund, the bit that goes in front of your tummy. And yeah, there's more information on the website, so you can double check exactly if your BCD is affected. But if you've only just bought like weight pouches themselves, if you have a look at the underside, then you'll see like 2 little date stamps on it. If it doesn't have those, then it could be affected by the recall. To put it into perspective, it's any BCDs sold in dive shops and online from April 2019 up until May 2023. So there's a fair few BCDs. Anyone who has been using one or owns one, they recommend to stop using it immediately. Contact Hewish Outdoors to receive free replacements and dispose of the detachable weight pockets. Divers outside of the United States should contact their nearest Oceanic dealer just for instructions on what to do next. The underwater camera and lighting brand Sea Life has released a new magenta color correcting filter for its sport diver smartphone housing to counter the effects of taking photographs in green water. So with blue water photography, you typically have red filters, but if you're diving in fresh water or just green water in general, then a kind of purpley magenta is usually better to make it look more realistic. And the sport diver, it's like a clamshell phone case where you can take your smartphone underwater and take photos underwater. I think we did a news story the other week where someone had lost theirs for several months, I think, and they managed to recover the phone. They opened it up, the phone just needed charging up, it woke back up, and they managed to track down the owner of the phone based on the photograph on their lock screen, which is a lovely story. But yeah, if you own one and you're diving in green waters, then yeah, there is an optional red filter, but there's also now a magenta color filter. Both are made from a optical acrylic that uses proprietary color pigments, and they're most effective at depths between 3 and 18 meters. It says that they're very easy to add to or remove from the sport diver optical lens frame whilst diving, and they also come with a lanyard so you can attach it. And yeah, if you're diving between those depths and you want better pictures, you can just add or remove them depending on whether you're in sort of green or blue water. So, as I mentioned at the start, this podcast is sponsored by the scuba diving giant Scuba Pro, who have been making great scuba diving equipment since 1963. And Scuba Pro makes everything from masks and snorkels and fins to wetsuits, dry suits, dive computers. They have a beautiful range of regulators as well, and they have a great range of products that scuba divers love because If you take their fins, for example, they still make their jet fins, which are a design from the 1960s, but divers still love them because they simply got it right the first time. The only upgrade that the jet fins have ever had over the years is to add spring heel straps. And Scuba Pro also makes some of the most cutting edge fins today, from their Sea Wing Nova and Supernova fins. So Scuba Pro covers the entire range of diving equipment, from their heritage equipment to modern technology. And right now Scuba Pro has a pair of offers at participating dealers. The first one is a free Octo offer. If you buy a Scuba Pro S620 Ti or the D420 with either a Mark 19 Evo or the Mark 25 Evo first stage, you're going to get yourself a S270 Octo for free, which is a great way to start building a regulator set and start saving yourself some money. The D420 may look a little bit different to some other second stages, but it breathes beautifully. The S620 is a combination of the best features of other Scuba Pro second stages in a great all-rounder of a second stage. The free Octo offer also extends to their S600 with a Mark 25 or a Mark 17 Evo first stage, which is one of their most popular regulators. Again, a very strong all-rounder. That and the G260 or the new G260 Carbon Black tech with either a Mark 25 or a Mark 19 Evo first stage, you'll get yourself a free R105 Octo. Now, I know that was a lot of numbers that I just threw at you, but if you visit your local Scuba Pro dealer, there's a dealer locator on the Scuba Pro website where you can find your nearest and they can help you find the right regulator for you. The second offer is a dry suit promotion, which is a great way to save some money again or get a fancier dry suit combination in your budget. If you buy a neoprene Everdry 4 or an Exo dry suit, you can get a free K2 light undersuit set or a K2 medium thickness undersuit for £99, which has a suggested retail price of £298, so you're saving yourself some money. Or if you prefer a trilaminate dry suit, if you buy the Evertech breathable or the definition dry, you will get the K2 extreme undersuit for free, which is a great way to stay warmer in the water. Personally, I tend to wear my dry suit year round here in the UK, so a dry suit is a great investment. Both of these offers are running until the end of July in certain regions and participating dealers, so do ask them first before you turn up demanding for free Scuba Pro equipment. To mark Armed Forces Day here in the United Kingdom on Saturday the 24th of June, Paddy Dive Centre Dive in Falmouth in Cornwall is offering serving members of the Armed Forces and a guest the opportunity to enjoy free guided snorkel tours off Falmouth all throughout the day. So this is from Dan McCall, the lead instructor and founder at the recently opened Castle Beach Centre, is a former Royal Marines commando and a Royal Navy mine clearance diver. And he says, I've always had the passion for the ocean and I'm equally passionate about supporting the armed forces. I wanted to show my gratitude for the men and women that serve this country by giving back with a special underwater adventure this Armed Forces Day. If the weather allows it, snorkelers can hope to see marine life ranging from cat sharks and cuttlefish to spider crabs, seals, lobsters and more. Dive In offers PADI courses from DSD to Dive Master with 10% discounts for Armed Forces members as well as NHS employees and students. For more information, there's going to be a link down in the description below. Click on that and you can get in contact with them and go for a free snorkeling tour if you're a serving member of our Armed Forces. Over to the Great Barrier Reef, where a world-first project which is trialling seaweed as a nature-based solution to try and improve the quality of water flowing to the Great Barrier Reef. So they're using these seaweed biofilters, and they've installed them off the coast of North Queensland to help improve the quality of water that flows to the Great Barrier Reef. And this seaweed biofilter innovation project is aiming to remove excess nitrogen from the water that's flowing directly onto the Great Barrier Reef. And these seaweed biopods, They're installed at Orpheus Island and the port of Lucinda, and they're going to be used to measure growth rates seasonally of the seaweeds and environmental conditions over the next 12 months to test seaweed's nitrogen removal potential. They're kind of these big frames with sections of seaweed attached onto them, and they're hoping that as the water and the current naturally flows through them, the seaweed is going to be absorbing all of this excess nitrogen, so that when the water actually gets to the Great Barrier Reef, it has reduced levels of nitrogen, which usually causes quite bad effects on the Great Barrier Reef. Every year, thousands of tons of excess nutrients run off the land and out to the reef, which reduces its resilience to recover from stress events like rising sea temperatures and associated coral bleaching, ocean acidification, and the crown of thorns starfish outbreaks. ASI CEO Joe Kelly said that this was the first time that seaweed cultivation has been purposely designed and strategically located to intercept nitrogen runoff and improve water quality for the Great Barrier Reef. She says, "Our modelling suggests that seaweed biofilters are a cost-effective and scalable solution to water quality problems plaguing the reef, and the field trials are a critical step to validate this. By harnessing native seaweeds as a nature-based solution to utilize the excess nutrients flowing to coastal waters around the Great Barrier Reef seems to make a lot of sense. Whenever I explain to people that we are growing seaweeds to ecologically remove excess nutrients from coastal waters, the first question I get is, why hasn't this been done before? Seaweed is a emerging new industry in Australia, and we are at the forefront of cultivation of seaweeds to provide ecosystem services and demonstrate improved ocean and reef health," Miss Kelly says. So yeah, it's basically a way of setting up these filters, just seaweed, in strategic locations upstream to get as many of this sort of excess nitrogen and nutrients out of the water to prevent the negative effects downstream on the Great Barrier Reef. So this is kind of cool, and it's scalable as well. So if these all turn out to work and be beneficial, then they can scale it up, and they can have these like pod areas where it just filters the water and just helps to create better conditions downstream over the Great Barrier Reef, which is pretty cool. Increased sedimentation and nutrients can cause higher algal growth, buildup of pollutants in sediments and marine species, and reduce light and smothering corals. Any problems associated with water quality also have the potential to compromise reef-dependent industries such as tourism, fishing, recreation, research and education, and nutrient runoff has also been linked to outbreaks of crown of thorns starfish, which is of course a significant contributor to the loss of coral cover over the Great Barrier Reef. So anything that they can do to reduce this or sort of correct the water quality around the Great Barrier Reef is going to be beneficial. And that's about it as far as news story. I mean, there was a news story of a poor 73-year-old lady who was bitten by a shark in the Bahamas, and I think as a result of the incident, or the injury, sorry, she had to lose part of her leg, which is very unfortunate. And I think she was a physiotherapist as well, so hopefully she's on a good road to recovery after that. This week I've been writing a couple of stories. The first one, I've been doing an article on diving the Galapagos and everything that's involved in that, because the Galapagos is just such a unique place to go diving. It has that very special place in a lot of people's sort of hearts of just like very unique endemic area, and it's quite hard to reach. It's 1,000 kilometers off Ecuador, and it's pretty much smack dab on the equator, and it's at the confluence of like 3 or more water currents, and it's this like little volcanic island structure. So there's lots of nutrients. It's got all of these like water currents, quite deep water as well. So very unique area, and it's the perfect place for a lot of marine species, a lot of terrestrial species as well, but a lot of quite weird stuff as well. You look at some of the unique species around there. There's what's it called, the red-lipped batfish. Very, very strange creatures out there. But yeah, it is not your everyday like dive location. So yeah, I've been writing a story in collaboration with Explorer Ventures, who runs a couple of liveaboards out there, and also an article on spearfishing, because spearfishing is very sort of under talked about, if that makes sense. We don't talk about spearfishing that much, and yeah, it's just if people are interested in getting into spearfishing, because in some circles it does have quite a negative connotation, because obviously we don't like killing marine life. So spearfishing seems like the antithesis to like scuba divers and a whole like ethos. But some people will still eat seafood, and actually spearfishing is the most ecologically friendly way to do it, because it's very selective. There's practically zero bycatch, because you're just shooting at one particular fish that you have selected. There's no ghost gear neither, because there's no like hooks that can snag on things. So yeah, as far as a environmentally responsible way of eating seafood, it's probably the most friendly method. So yeah, and that was in collaboration with Scuba.com. Over in the States, they've got two dive centers, one on the West Coast in California, and the other one in the New York in Manhattan. So yeah, they know what they're doing when it comes to sort of spearfishing off the west and the east coast of the United States. But that's about it. It's another one of those like roller coaster weeks where just days have just disappeared, and most of it is trying to keep on top of the Titan submersible going missing. I literally, as I'm recording this, it's Thursday morning, so they've probably got about an hour, maybe 2 hours of oxygen left. So we're kind of at that. They still haven't found them. They've got lots of boats and aeroplanes kind of searching for them, but they haven't really found anything yet. So hopefully, with an optimistic hat on, yeah, they'll find them in the next few hours and everything will be fine. With a more realistic hat on, it might be a while before they find them, because yeah, it's a pretty small submersible. I've seen a lot of people online and comments like, oh, well, yeah, why don't they just sort of send like a big magnet down and to like pull them back up? And the thing is made out of titanium and carbon fiber, so not very magnetic. And yeah, at those extreme depths, a lot of the submarines that are trying to get down there, a lot of like submersibles can't get down to those kind of depths. I think the current record, I forget the exact number, but it was like 1,500 feet for recovering something at depth. I think it was like a helicopter or something in the Philippines, whereas this is a lot deeper than that. So who knows? Hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, there's some happy news, or at least some news that have come out of this news story. But only time will tell. At the time of recording, yeah, it's not looking too good for them, unfortunately. But that's it for another week. So thank you for joining us, everybody. And yeah, remember to check out today's sponsor, which is Scuba Pro. Yeah, they do make very, very nice diving equipment. They were always a top-selling brand. And yeah, when you look at the equipment, it's very easy to recommend Scuba Pro, because it is a premium brand with sensible prices, and they have a decent range as well. So if you don't feel like you need to invest in the top of the range stuff, even the entry level diving equipment is really nice and quite hard to fault. So yeah, head over to their website, scubapro.johnsonoutdoors. But I think if you just search for or just type in scubapro.com, the internet's a clever place. I think it automatically forwards you anyway. Otherwise, yeah, you can check out our website, scubadivermag.com. Check out our magazine. That's a weekly magazine because I've submitted my my story for the commercial diver course. So that will be published soon, hopefully. And then I'll do a video about it with what little sort of pictures and videos I managed to take, because I brought like cameras and things, but you're working constantly, so it was quite hard to get any kind of like sort of photos or videos. And I suppose technically because I didn't have the ticket at the time, I couldn't do underwater filming to record whilst I was on the course because I hadn't completed the course yet. But anyway, stay tuned for that. That'll be over the next sort of month or two being published. Otherwise, yeah, thank you for listening, everybody, and of course, safe diving. The Scuba Diver Magazine podcast is sponsored by Scuba Pro. For more information, head over to scubapro.johnsonoutdoors.com and find out more about their amazing scuba diving range.